What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie in a series that I talked about a lot last year. I watched the entire Blackwell Ghost series last year, which if you are unfamiliar with the Blackwell Ghost series, it is directed by Turner Clay, and it is a series of low-budget found footage movies about a series of hauntings. And throughout the 7 films that have existed prior, the story, it shifted locations, it shifted stories, and it's kind of gone all over the place. And I've really enjoyed it. I feel like Turner Clay does something really special when it comes to low budget found footage filmmaking. He is able to create this really immersive and unique story. It's also really well shot for a found footage film. It actually looks really nice, and he is just a really charismatic individual that's easy to watch. And so it makes these movies really simple to get into. And I always enjoy them, even when I don't think they're the best. There hasn't been one of them yet that I've thought is miserable to get through. And that's impressive, especially for someone who's making so many of these. And I was online and I saw someone post that the 8th film had been released on Amazon, and I was very excited for it. So I jumped on, rented it, and watched it right away. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is the Blackwell Ghost 8. Blackwell Ghost 8 is directed by Turner Clay. A filmmaker continues his quest to uncover the truth behind a series of unsolved murders from years ago. So I was very excited to watch this movie because I am a huge fan of the Blackwell Ghost series. I've really liked all of the films to varying degrees, and this movie was fine. Honestly, if I was re-ranking the series, this would probably fall towards the bottom for me. One of the things about Turner in this series is there has been one movie every couple of movies that feels like it's more of a filler film than it is its own unique film. And that's exactly what this movie felt like. It felt like it was continuing what we learned in the 7th film and trying to build on it a little bit, but honestly was just trying to get us to the eventual 9th movie. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit with you today. So in the Blackwell Ghost 8, Turner Clay starts off by talking to us about the events of the 7th film, where there is this killer who is stalking him, who ended up in his house standing over his bed by the end of the film. And he is absolutely horrified by it. He doesn't know what to think about it. At the beginning of the film, he gets this cassette tape, and the police has received an identical version of it, but Turner Clay does not believe it is the same thing. So he listens to the 2 tapes and he manages to discover a difference that leads him back to Florida. He's also getting these packages delivered to his house that are more clues about that house in Florida from the earlier installments in the Blackwell Ghost series, where the serial killer was living. And so the film is Turner traveling back and forth from Florida, trying to figure out who this killer is and why he is so infatuated with Turner. So, as I said, I thought this movie was fine, but honestly, I didn't get a whole lot out of it compared to the other films in the series. For starters, I talked about this in my 7th review. I'm not a huge fan of this shifting to a serial killer. For some reason, it almost feels more unrealistic than Ghosts. It's kind of harder for me to stay invested in the story because it's kind of turned this corner, and I'm like, this is a lot less interesting than a haunting. But I understand trying to keep it fresh and exciting, so I'm trying to watch it with an open mind and hope that it shifts. And there's a lot of captivating information at the beginning that really keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's like a really good, well-structured true crime story. But the problem is Turner spends an hour and 9 minutes, it's a really short movie, really just doing like recycled scenes of, I got this thing sent to my house and I'm gonna go to this area. Then he gets to the area and it's like, whoa, I found another clue to go to this area. And so most of the movie spends its time doing that. And then he has one sequence in the Florida house, which is like the old films with motion sensor cameras going off and things popping out at you. But the problem with those sequences in this film, heavily reliant on the jump scare sound, and it was kind of irritating to where I was like, you didn't need to use that there. I feel like it's really kind of emotionally manipulating you in a way that you could just look at some of the horrific images on the screen and it would scare you more than having to be accompanied by some big bombastic sound effect. And that was disappointing because I didn't feel like it needed to be there. And most of the runtime, I was just wondering, okay, where exactly is this going to go? And by the end of the movie, you're not really in much different of a spot than you were when you started, other than some new information is uncovered about the case, and he ends up in this place that he's like oh man, I'm finally going to be able to figure out more and more about this case. And he's led to this area that's affiliated with this serial killer. Honestly, like as shocking as Turner tried to make the very last scene, I was just like, well, I figured it was going to get to this point. He ends up introducing new information to kind of push you into a ninth film. And it just seemed like all the information that we got in the eighth movie was trying to build up to a ninth film rather than just live in the moment in that movie that you were watching at that particular time. And that's what really irritated me about this installment was it felt like less of its own thing and more like it was just building up to the next thing. And the best films in this Blackwell Ghost series are the ones that Turner focuses on the story at hand and really plays into how to scare the audience. And that's what makes the previous installments so much better than this one. There might be one earlier film in this franchise that I like less than this, but this would fall pretty much to the bottom as far as my rankings go because I didn't get a whole lot out of it. So have you seen the Blackwell Ghost 8? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I was not the biggest fan of this movie. I still respect Turner for the visual presentation and I was excited to watch it, but I feel like it's definitely the most lackluster in quality comparatively to the ones before. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.